Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Charles Harvey, candidate running for President of the United States for the year 2012. And for the first time in the history of voting presidents in office, if I selected me, it'll be the first time voters have picked a non-politician to put in the office. The last 44 presidents of the United States were former politicians. And what's amazing, we have jokes about car salesmen not being popular, lawyers not being popular, and politicians. And yet we keep putting them in office, and we've gone right down the tubes for what? Since 1972. And things have to change. We got to stop the outsourcing. We got to stop giving money to other countries. We got to stop interfering in nation rebuilding in other countries, especially ones that call us the infidels, the Muslim countries. We have no business there. Stay out of there. Cut programs that are not dealing with helping human beings. Take the toys away from the boys. The fact is, in the last decade, 1% of the population that controls half the country's wealth, and another 2% of the Americans that make $200,000 to $250,000 a year, put the president in the White House. They pay for it. And how? The majority of the money, 90% of it, goes for TV commercials and ads, campaign, which are propaganda, half-truths, negative campaigns, knocking another human being. And of course, we gobble it up and ask for seconds. So, if you want to really make a change and you want to have a voice as a person of the middle class, working class, or lower class, it's real simple, get out there, the 72% of the middle class. Register and vote for a person like myself from middle class that cares and can do the job. Pick a president that's not a politician for the first time. Write me on an election day. Go to my web page to put me on the ballot. Go to Charles Harvey for President. That's one word. Charles Harvey for President.com or .org. Select a tab at the top right hand side that says petition and sign it to put me on the ballot. The Constitution does not say it has to be a wealthy politician. It can be an average caring human being. Budgets, it just breaks my heart to see how they always want to cut budgets on services that help humans. Isn't that amazing? Programs that help the elderly, programs like Social Security, people paid in, they want to cut programs like that. Planned Parenthood, because some clown says that 90-some% is used for abortions of that program, when it's false, when it's less than 3%. It's like how much has been budgeted for new B-2 stealth bombers. The stealth bombers the enemy calls the Ghost. To give you an example, of $3.7 billion is set aside for a long-range strike program in the Pentagon's 2012 budget. And you know what that means simply? To draw plans for a new stealth heavy bomber for the Air Force. Draw plans. It doesn't mean that 3.7 billion is going to go to build a stealth bomber. Isn't that incredible? For the fiscal year 2008, the B-2 bomber estimated cost was approximately $1 to $2 billion each. And because of public pressure, Congress reduced its order of the B-2 Spirit to 21 aircraft from their initial plan to purchase 132 stealth bombers. You know, we have 20 Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirits stealths in service and 1 in reserve. We don't need more bombers, you know? We have more than enough high technology to win any war that we're confronted with, you know? But so many projects, you know, you may say $1 billion to cost that, but I've never seen a government project that hasn't gone millions and millions of dollars over the budget. You know, what is the cause behind massive military expenditures? $100 billion could easily be taken off without a decrease in our security. Why do we spend such absurd? Because we allow it. Because politician after politician, special interest group is the reason. You know, we spent $660 billion on defense. Second is China. They only spend $100 billion, and all the other nations, Russia and etc., are below that. You know, we don't need to be spending money on more toys for the boys. What we need is resources going to creating jobs and helping human beings, not tossing them aside. Well, you're poor, you don't count. Oh, all poor are lazy. Oh, you're unemployed, you go get a job, wash dishes. You know, it's just a joke. Oh, middle class, who cares? You know, 72%, which makes the 1% rich. But we want to cut human services before cutting the toys. It's no different than a man who, you know, buys a new pickup, but soon or later he wants a bigger and a newer pickup. You know, on Tuesday, the House Budget Committee Chair Paul Ryan, Republican, Wisconsin, presented Republicans' fiscal year 2012 federal budget proposal, which would make $6 trillion in federal spending cuts over the next decade. Attempt to repeal and defund the federal health reform laws and overhaul Medicare and Medicaid. Again, programs that help humans, American citizens. The plan would provide Medicare beneficiaries with a lump sum voucher to buy private insurance and would turn Medicaid into a block grant system, giving states, are you ready for this, $11,000 per beneficiary to use as they choose. Wow. With medical costs, what can you buy for $11,000? That it can't even buy a prosthesis. That even can't even buy a serious operation. You know, of course, you know, the politicians don't care because their coverage, no one gets better medical coverage than a politician. So think populations are going up and human support is going down. Does that make sense to you? And the amazing part is they won't reduce the debt that they're proposing over this 10 years. Because of our interest we pay. The United States pays upwards of $100 million a day to China in terms of interest alone. $100 million a day we pay China in interest alone. Unreal. The total budget for NASA for the fiscal year 2012 has the backing of Obama and will lock NASA a 2010 level amounting to $18.7 billion. $18.7 billion. Wow. I mean, God, what can they do with a little money like that? I mean, so, you know, with $18 billion, I guess, of course, they've been getting billions and billions since 78, 68, something like that, anyway. So, NASA continue to search for green people and other habitable planets that we can exploit. Why spend it on old people, poor people, needy people, homeless people, and unemployed people? Priorities. Green people, other planets that are, what, maybe 20, 30 light years away, and if we can do the speed of light, we can make, let's say, 20 light years. We could be there in 70,000 years at our current 18,000 speed we do now in the space shuttle. So, how much of our U.S. government budget is pork barrel? About 1%, approximately $16 billion, goes for pork. Special interest groups, special programs for the politicians. Caring for human beings should be the number one. Always should be number one. It's America. Don't put up with it anymore. Go to the polls. Vote for Charles Earl Harvey. Give me a chance, a real person, a well-educated, bright person that can make a difference, that's going to pull all the troops out of every Muslim nation, any nation that calls for killing us, which are infidels, and bring them home, and keep our forces in friendly countries such as Germany and other places. To quit blowing money on outer space, billions and billions of dollars. We need to do it here on Earth. I believe in my first 4 years in office, I can find an alternate fuel for cars other than oil. That's a promise. You see, you never hear of it, but there's programs like MIT, a young lady is working on, who's taken solar power, which is free, and converting chemically into molecules, converting it to a catalyst, to a fuel source for automobiles. In 1941, now I'm allowed to make mistakes because I'm not perfect, okay? It's not about spelling potatoes, okay? Or naming who's who, okay? 1941, was it? Yeah. The president got the brightest people together, gave them $20 billion, called it the Manhattan Project, told them to build an awesome weapon, and they did in 3 years for $20 billion. And lost the atomic bomb, which stopped the war. So if we take a few of the toys away from the Air Force, a few, $1 billion, cut them, a few of their B-2s away from them, cut the program in half on NASA looking for green men and other planets to inhabit, we could direct that toward an alternate fuel and not be dependent on oil for fuel, not dependent on other countries for that oil. All these things can be done, So, give it some thought. My webpage, charlesharvey4president.com. On the contact page, there's an email. You can ask me direct questions. You can call me crazy. You can do whatever you want, because we're in America. So this is Charles Harvey. Page 3, the rest of the story. Have a beautiful day.